Chapter 11. Too Heavy. On the evening of August 6, 1914, Arthur Horbach, a 17-year-old Latter-day Saint in Liège, Belgium, took cover as German artillery rained down on his city. Earlier that summer, a Serbian nationalist had assassinated the heir to Europe's Austro-Hungarian Empire, provoking war between Austria-Hungary and the Kingdom of Serbia. Soon allies of both nations joined in the fight. By early August, Serbia, Russia, France, Belgium, and Great Britain were at war with Austria-Hungary and Germany. Belgium, originally a neutral nation, entered the conflict when German troops launched an invasion of France through Belgium's eastern border. The city of Liège posed the first significant obstacle for the invading army. 12 forts surrounded the city, and at first they had kept the Germans at bay. But the assault was unrelenting. Thousands of troops assailed the forts, and the Belgian defenses began to crumble. German troops soon breached the Belgian line and captured Liège. Attackers swept through the city, looting homes, burning buildings, and shooting civilians. Arthur and his mother Matilda somehow evaded the troops. The 50 or so other saints in Liège were all in danger just like Arthur, but it was the missionaries serving in the city that kept coming to his mind. He spent much of his time with the missionaries and knew them well. Had they been hurt in the attack? Days passed. Arthur and his mother lived in terror of the German troops and the heavy artillery bombarding the uncaptured forts. Latter-day Saints were scattered throughout the city, with several branch members huddled together in a cellar. A group of soldiers had moved into the rented hall where the branch normally met. Fortunately, Tonya Duguy, an elderly member of the church who spoke fluent German, quickly gained the trust of the invading soldiers and persuaded them not to damage the hall or its furniture. Eventually, Arthur learned that the elders were safe. The American consulate in Liège had ordered them to evacuate the city on the first day of the bombing, but road blockades had kept them from getting word of their removal to Arthur or anyone else. Missionaries across continental Europe, in fact, were leaving their fields of labor. "Release all German and French missionaries," President Joseph F. Smith had cabled European mission leaders, "and exercise due discretion about transferring all missionaries from neutral as well as belligerent countries to United States missions." Arthur felt the loss of the missionaries immediately. In the 6 years since he and Matilda joined the church, their branch had depended on missionaries for priesthood leadership. Now the only priesthood holders in the branch were a teacher and 2 deacons, one of whom was Arthur himself. He had received the Aaronic priesthood less than a year earlier. After Liège fell into German hands, the branch all but stopped meeting together. The soldiers who occupied their meeting hall moved on, but the landlord refused to let the branch meet there. Every day was a struggle for survival. Food and everyday supplies became scarce. Hunger and misery pervaded the city. Arthur knew that everyone in the branch longed to gather for prayer and comfort, but without a meeting house and someone authorized to bless the sacrament, how could they resume functioning as a branch? As war spread through Europe, Ida Smith wondered how she could help the British soldiers leaving for the battlefield. She and her husband, Apostle Hiram M. Smith, had moved to Liverpool with their 4 children about a year earlier. Hiram, the oldest son of Joseph F. Smith, was serving as president of the European Mission. Ida supported the work, but she had decided not to take an active part in missionary labor or any service outside their small branch of the church while she still had young children at home. One afternoon, though, Ida saw a notice written by Liverpool's Lady Mayoress, Winifred Rathbone, calling on women's organizations in the city to join other female volunteers throughout Great Britain in knitting warm clothes for soldiers. Ida knew that hundreds of thousands of British soldiers, including some Latter-day Saints, would desperately need the clothes to survive the coming winter. But she felt useless. "What can I do to assist this woman?" she asked herself. "I have never knit a stitch in my life." A voice then seemed to speak to her. "Now is the time for the relief societies of the European Mission to step to the front and offer their services." The words impressed Ida deeply. Liverpool's Relief Society was small, 8 active members at most, but the women could do their part. With the help of the mission secretary, Ida arranged to meet with Winifred the next day. Her heart raced prior to the meeting. "Why do you go to the Lady Mayoress and offer your services with a handful of women?" she scolded herself. "Why don't you go home and mind your own business?" But Ida swept the thought away. The Lord was with her. In her hand she carried a tiny card printed with information about the Relief Society and its purpose. "If I can just hand her this card," she told herself, "I am going." The Lady Mayoress's office was in a large building that served as the headquarters for her charity work. Winifred received Ida graciously, and Ida's nervousness quickly subsided as she told the Lady Mayoress about the Relief Society, the church, and the small Liverpool branch. "I have come to offer our services in helping to sew or knit for the soldiers," she explained. Having delivered her message, Ida was about to leave, but Winifred stopped her. "I would like you to go through our building," she said, "and see how our work is carried on." She led Ida through 17 large rooms, each filled with a dozen or so women hard at work. She then brought Ida into her private office. "This is the way we keep our records," she said, showing her a ledger. "Everything you do for us will be recorded in this book as work being done by the Relief Society of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints." Ida thanked her. "We will do the best that we can," she said. That fall, the Relief Society in Liverpool knitted. They also recruited their friends and neighbors to help. After a week, they numbered around 40 knitters. Ida herself learned to knit and began work on several large mufflers. At the request of the Relief Society General Presidency in Salt Lake City, Ida's husband set her apart as the president of the Relief Societies in the European Mission. With continental Europe unsafe for travel, she began traveling throughout Britain to organize new relief societies, train their members, and recruit them to knit for the soldiers. Ultimately, the women created and distributed some 2,300 handmade articles of clothing. Ida and other Relief Society members received letters and commendations from important officials all over Great Britain.